This program has been made possible in part by Interweave, the handmade life, your craft community for books, magazines, videos, patterns, events, and more. On the web at interweavestore.com.
I've got a quick tip for you on a fun way to add a little bit of extra luxury to your exotic fiber projects. As you can see, Fringe adds just a little extra yarn and a little more fun to even the simplest of projects. For a basic fringe, all you're going to need to do is cut equal lengths of yarn, and they don't have to be exactly the same length. You can just make sure to cut them a little bit longer than you need and then trim them all even once you've got them on. The easiest way to do this is with a crochet hook. I'm using 2 strands of yarn in each piece of fringe. I'm going to insert my crochet hook into the edge of my work from the bottom to the top. I'm going to hook both strands of yarn onto them, pull them through, and then I'm going to go ahead and grab all 4 strands of yarn from the now doubled yarn and pull them through the knot that I just made. You're going to snug that knot up, and you've got this nice, basic little knotted fringe. And then later, of course, you can just go and snip all the strands of yarn to an even length. Now the next variation just goes with a simple basic fringe like we just did, but instead we're taking a little bit of inspiration from macrame and putting in equally spaced knots to just add a little bit of extra weight and a little more of a decorative element to it. So all I've done here is I've put in my basic fringe, then I tied 1 row of knots tying opposite or alternate halves together of each piece of fringe. And now I'm doing that again on a second row, but offset once more. So I'm taking my 2 strands of yarn and I'm just going to work a plain square knot, which means just cross your yarns over each other, bring 1 yarn through, now cross them over in the opposite way, and bring it through again. And then you're going to want to snug and square up that knot so that it's in line with the others. You can also draw a template out on a piece of paper and pin the work as you go to make sure that your knots are nice and even. Now my final fringe variation for you, again, starts with the same basic fringe, and I've left a lot more yarn on this one than I have on the other ones, and you'll see why in a second. Got my same basic fringe knotted nicely to the edge. I'm going to separate it into halves, and now I'm going to twist both of those halves of yarn. I'm twisting them separately, but I'm twisting them both in the same direction. And you can do this at the same time, or you can do this one at a time if you need to, like me. You can see that they're both twisted about the same amount, and they're starting to kink up on each other if I put a little bit of slack in. Now I'm going to cross them back in the opposite way than I just twisted, and let them roll, start them off, and then they'll roll by themselves. And then just go ahead and tie a knot. Use a pin or a crochet hook to help you position the knot right at the position that you want. That's a little bit high, so I'm going to snug it down a little bit. Tie your knot, and then cut your tail, and your nice twisted cord should stay right in place.